We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
I feel no shame, only pride, because my syphilis is a badge of honor.
Person, woman, man.
I love Leo.
Just follow the money.
Person, woman. I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Yosemites.
Okay, all right, I'm live? Yes, I am. Oh, good. And the camera's, Everything took a crap. That was fun. Hi, everybody. Hold on one second. So that was fun. So right as I'm getting all set up, my screens freeze and nothing will move, which is always fun. And chaos theory, as I did a drive-by. So I obviously had to reboot the entirety of everything. I think I found the culprit, which is a bad hard drive that deep within its recesses has system software somewhere in it. You know what I mean? Like one of those backup drives just in case your computer craps out. And it was trying to link up with that one and losing its mind. So, yeah. So there you go. Restart your page, if you will. I don't know why I'm all Jeff Goldblum-y today. I guess that's what happens when the entire system goes to shit. Apartments.com. Yeah. A great place to find a place. All right, so, hola, how are you? Reboots, find a way, right? Yeah, if I may. Hal and the Motang Clan, how's everybody Motanging today?
Gave us Motang.
So we are, Trump actually has a rally today. It's going to start late, our time, in theory, although I don't 100% trust that he's, that it'll go off without a hitch. Hal, did you see Weird Al's video, New York Times opinion piece? No, I have not, but I totally will. Patreon's on standby. Thank you so much. Yes, we may eventually need a new computer, but fear not. We will hump by. Don't panic now. Goldblum is an odd one. Watches Disney Plus show. I've met him in person. He likes my work. It's kind of lovely. I actually audited an acting class he taught in like the 90s. And it was really disconcerting because he sat the whole time while I was acting, and I could see him out of my peripheral vision, just going, just like twitching. So the obviously, he's so mysterious and interesting, beautiful, and Earth Girls Must Be Easy is true. And everybody, I suppose many of you know that my favorite Jeff Goldblum film is Mr. Frost. You don't know it, I recommend it. Is everybody standing back and standing by? Jesus Christ. That whole mess last night. And we watched that. You guys will recall we clipped that in
sir, before it's generally available.
Hold on. This is I'm going to, let's see, theater mode. We're going to go over a couple of these moments just because I can't not. And we didn't really get to because of the format by which John and I were doing things last night, just kind of watching right along, a little bit of talking afterwards. But first, is he an actual fly? Pretty much. Mr. Frost, is that the Heat Miser song? No. Mr. Frost is a story about a serial killer who's actually the devil. And he wants... His goal is that the shrink at the mental institution they put him in kill him to prove that he is really the devil. It's really cool. It's a very strange storyline, but it's awesome. Big chill. That's just mean. For those of you who don't know, Jeff Goldblum was the dead body in Big Chill. He had a scene and they cut it out because they felt after the movie was made that if you actually saw the dude, the character everyone is talking about in the Big Chill, then it would take kind of it would inform everyone's interpretation of who the guy was too much, and therefore inform your interpretation of the people. It left it a little more open to interpretation if you didn't show the actual guy. They're all there for a funeral. of their friend and telling stories about him and them and their interactions and what they're like. Oh, it wasn't? It was Kevin Costner. That's right. I beg your pardon. You're absolutely right. That's my bad. Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. Costner was the dead body. That's right. But that's why they didn't have Kevin Costner didn't have a scene. Maybe it was because of the acting, but also because they didn't want people to feel like they knew who the character was. You're absolutely right. I misspoke. And by the way, one of my favorite roles of Kevin Costner's best role ever, Silverado, hands down. The most acting he's ever done. Super fun. And then, that's right. I'm overlapping stories. Sorry. And so I have COVID brain. I'm blaming it on that. And then Jeff Goldblum had one line in Annie Hall. One line. That Trump misspoke when he said Proud Boys stand back and stand by. And when Trump said it loud and proud, he meant what he said. Yes, he did. And today, by the way, we'll see, we're about to watch what he actually said. Hold on, what happened to this thing? Where are you going? Why does my screen go? What happened? Display, okay, there's my display capture. I don't know what happened to my display capture got all weird. I'll have to fix it back by going back to me, and then I'll switch over to this thing. Yeah, everything kind of went back to ground zero. Like my mic got unhooked. It was super weird. Display. I have to do a whole. Okay, open that guy up. Okay, we will close that out. Okay, and we'll add a display capture. See if I can fix this. I love fixing stuff on the fly. It's so old school. It's like the show we used to have. It's so fun. Display capture. Okay. Why is it not seeing that? We will move this down here. Try it. Add a new source. WTH. We'll call that this the new source. And add source. Okay, there we go. And cool. And we will does not want. Let's see. One. Yeah, there we go. And then all I got to do is just reshape my entire display thing again. How are you guys doing today? Did you guys get any sleep after the nuttiness yesterday? Cause I didn't. Turn this off. Put two of these at once. So much to do. What is sleep? Yeah, it was super strange last night. Like I went to bed relatively late last night, and then here's this. Grab the right screen, you goof. Asking my computer to edit scenes as we go is always a tall order. So I beg your pardon for this temporary flailing about that I've got to do. This over here. This. Yeah. It was, yeah. So I ended up having like the oddest sleep cycle last night after the whole nonsense. Super fun. Go. Almost there. Almost there. Still up at 6 a.m. Wow. Yeah, I woke up at that was when I woke up. I did actually go to sleep. But the weird part was, I just kind of randomly woke up super ass early. And then needed to go back to sleep because I was doing this thing and it was just crazy. And then we still have like, kittens. We had to give, so last night the kittens got their last dose of medicine. They're on these, did any polls show that Trump won? No. Last night we get this, the kittens that we are fostering right now have to get like a deworming solution and a vitamin with like stuff to settle their stomach so that they can eat, because they were super skinny. These cats are like, one of them, the tallest one, is very regal and pretty looking as a cat, but she's rail thin, and so to get them just eating again and all this stuff, we've had to give them medicine every day. So, Summer and I, we team up and we take care of business. It's, we know what we're doing. She holds she does the medicine and I hold the cat. This is our team sport, right? And for me, they're actually really good. They hiss. They get really panicked. They're very jumpy, very twitchy, because they're still outdoor cats. They're feral. But once you're holding them, it's amazing how soft they get. They just fall against you, and one of them rolls his head back and lays against your chin. It's super sweet. And they're all three getting much softer over time, which is good. It shows that their coat is actually, they're taking in some nutrients. They're getting better. But last night was the last night of them getting their, I don't know if you can even see that. I got a bunch of holes in me. So they didn't want one of them didn't want the medicine the final night that we had to give it to them. They were over it. And it flipped out a little bit. So I had to hold him a little more than before. But after that, interestingly enough, he totally collapsed. He laid back, and then he, today, like, he still hisses when I get near him, but if I can get my hand close to him, I can scratch his chin, and he just rolls into it. So it's super cute. There we go. Now I fixed my screen. Let's see, transition, break. And then I'll go back to one screen for me. And that will make my life easier. Hey, look at that. So I have a bunch of fresh new cat scratches, Nuge, on my hand and arm and stuff. But the cats have had their full course of medicine. They are healing nicely. We believe they are dewormed. Don't ask me how I know that. We're full functioning country cat vets at this rate. I will show you the kitties. They are upstairs, and they're in an isolated room away from the other cats right now. Once they can come out and they're not panicking, I will absolutely bring them down and put them on camera. We've tried a couple of times, but they really do get super nervous. So I as soon as they are, they're starting to get, where I can walk downstairs with them without them having a panic attack and the other cats flipping out, which might be a couple of days. I'll definitely bring them down so you guys can see them, because they're adorable. They're beautiful cats, and they look, they look like wild animals. They got kind of bobcat coloring, and one of them, the softest one, Jack. We're calling him. It's Jack, Frankie, and Lucy, which are the three characters from the Fabulous Baker Boys. Summer always does that. Summer picks patches of names so they all go together on these foster cats. And then we always have to rename them. Yeah, it's Bigfoot. We have to rename them when people take them. So, yeah. There's big money in bobcat breeding, is there? Thank you very much. So what are you doing when you're not driving young guys wild? All right. Bobcat breeding. You're welcome. Who does that right off the... All right. Okay. So let's take a look at his... This, for many of you saw the whole thing yesterday. I probably don't have to play it for you. Those of you that were with us. Yeah, Trump definitely has a gut. And he's not walking like somebody who's happy. I wonder if as he walks up, we'll see his draggy leg. I've seen more footage of that in the last couple of days. A Lincoln Project put it in one of their things. And I would like to make abundantly clear, like, if he has had many strokes and his behavior turns out to be related to that, then this is an old man deserving sympathy, because no matter what crimes he committed when he was lucid, once your brain starts to go, good or bad, you are not responsible for what comes out of it. That's how mental illness works. The scary part is that he knows where the football is. The reality, though, is that the crazier he gets, a lot of these folks actually around him are much more aware of his problem and will probably dive on him if he tries to touch anything weird. I love it. Trump foot, very tiny. Yeah. That said, if it is simply physical damage done by his lifestyle, then you brought it on yourself. You know, this is a guy who believes that you're going to run out of heartbeats at one day in your life, and that's why you die, not because your heart had an attack because you treat it poorly. So this is, and I apologize, this is helicopter stuff. He's on his way to Minnesota. He's done a shit ton of trips to Minnesota lately. Have you noticed that? Like, they are hammering Minnesota. Their internal polls must say that it's within, it's one of those states that can go either way, because they're pulling money out of Florida and Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin. Why the shit aren't you in Wisconsin? You won Wisconsin last time. You didn't win Minneapolis, I don't think, right? I may be blitzing this, because at this point, facts tend to stack. Yeah, Minnesota. Good that we're getting a long view of him. Oh, he farted. Oh, sorry, my bad. We if he touches his jacket. There's his personal photographer, who I can't help but feel right now is taking a picture of me.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to Minnesota.
Yeah, for like the 5th time.
I thought the debate last night was great. We've gotten tremendous reviews on it.
Tremendous reviews. Yeah. It was a laugh riot. Oh my God, his singing voice. Who could have known? A showstopper.
We're hitting what people want, law and order, which Biden was unable to even talk about because...
Yeah, you said law enforcement last night. You said he was unable to say law enforcement, not law and order. But, sorry, Biden gaffing. Maybe you thought that you'd invert gaff him. By saying law enforcement, you would actually make him try to say law enforcement and accidentally say law and order. It's a trap!
Lose the radical left, his radical left followers. I don't think there's too many of them left.
This is the strategy. Drive a wedge between him and progressives. And largely, I suppose, so that Russia can start sending them Facebook posts going, Biden's going to put I don't know what, Goldman Sachs people in charge of the Treasury and pharma lobbyists in charge of healthcare and all the things Trump is doing.
But I thought it was a great evening. It was an exciting evening. I see the ratings were very high. And
yeah, that's not a good sign.
It's good to be there. Felt very comfortable.
Yeah, you look comfortable.
And I appreciate all.
What was that what was that that piece of tape in his hair? Does anybody know?
Good words. So we are going now, and we're going to have a big rally. A lot of people showing up. Yeah. I don't know who the Proud Boys are. I mean, you.
Okay. You're on stage. Somebody brings up the Proud Boys. And you go, I'm not familiar with the Proud Boys, whoever you're bringing up. But if what you do is you don't denounce them or tell them to do anything because you don't know who they are. If you really don't know. If you really don't know, you go, I don't know who the Proud Boys are. But if you're telling me they're white supremacists, what I can say is to all white supremacists, I disavow you. You are not part of my movement. You are antithetical to the American way of life, and I have no interest in your endorsement or support. If the Proud Boys are part of that, then they're included. I don't know. And then you walk off stage, you go, who the shit are the Proud Boys? Who are they? And your staff immediately gets on, either they tell you because they know, or they make a brief for you by Googling on your behalf for the next 20 minutes while you glad hand and do other shit. And before you go to bed that night, you get a briefing about the thing you were broadsided on that ate up the entire news cycle around the debate. And then the next morning when you get up, go, I talked to staff last night about the Proud Boys, and they informed me of what they are, and I'm sure there's a lot of detail past this. But if indeed they are a white supremacist group, as it seems they are, then again, I have no interest in them. What I said about the other group stands. Like, this is not hard. This is such a, that's why, I think Brian Kilmeade called this a layup.
Give me a definition, because I really don't know who they are. I can only say they have to stand down, let law enforcement do their
stand down, like they're actually a military force that's on his side.
Work. Law enforcement will do the work more and more. As people see how bad this radical liberal Democrat movement is and how weak, the law enforcement's going to come back stronger and stronger. But again, I don't know who Proud Boys.
The Proud Boys are anti-white guilt? What are you talking about? They're anti-white guilt. I see. Yeah, they're the Proud Boys see themselves as Western chauvinists, by the way. They only become white supremacists because they believe that Western society and its values and what it's come to create were only created by white people for white people. It's kind of like a secondary effect is the idea. It doesn't matter. They're assholes is the primary thing. And they're absolutely through and through racist.
But whoever they are, they have to stand down, let law enforcement do their work.
Mr. President, in this speech, when you said stand by, that's my first question.
Just stand by. Look, law enforcement will do their work. They're going to stand down. They have to stand down. Everybody. They have to stand, whatever group you're talking about, let law enforcement do the work. Now, Antifa is a real problem.
Do they need to stand down too?
Because the problem is on
Does Antifa need to stand by and stand back? Stand back!
the left. And Biden refuses to talk about it. He refuses to issue the words law and order. You saw
Issue the words law and order? You said law enforcement last night.
last night when he choked up. He can't
When he choked up.
say the words because he'll lose the rest of the left. So
Why would, quote, the rest of the left have problems with law and order? He said law and order that's just. He actually made a very distinct point about it.
he's got to condemn Antifa. Antifa's a very bad group. Yeah.
Mr. President, let me follow up.
It's not a group. It's an ideology. There's lots of little groups around it.
White supremacy.
Antifa is not an organization. It's a T-shirt.
They clearly love you and support you. Do you welcome that?
I want law and order to be a very important part. It's a very important part of my campaign. And when
Oh, yeah, that doesn't mean you actually want law and order, though, or you wouldn't be shitting on the FBI at every turn, and you wouldn't be letting your criminal friends out of
I
jail.
say that, what I'm talking about is law enforcement the police have to take care. And they should stop defunding the police like they've done in New York, like they've done in New York. I just told you.
But you denounce them. Do you denounce
I've
white
always
supremacy?
denounced any form of any of that you have to denounce. But I also,
Any of what? Are you just blatantly folding it into racism? So I am, that, and that's what he's doing there. That's what that is. I denounce white supremacy and black supremacy and Indian supremacy and Chinese supremacy and all of that, all of it. That's what he's talking about. I mean, I'm not kidding. He's done it before. This is exactly in line with what he's saying.
Joe Biden has to say something about Antifa. It's not a philosophy. These are people that hit people over the head with baseball bats. He's got to come out and he's got to be strong.
Oh my God, Antifa is the baseball furies from the Warriors? If only. When Antifa, if you're listening, start dressing like the baseball Furies. You will do wonders for your image across the country.
He's got to condemn Antifa, and it's very important.
All you need is some like White Sox and Yankees jerseys and paint half your face, and yeah, it's good shit.
He does it.
On the election, you claim that you have
I can't hear a word you're saying. I can't hear.
Why can't you hear what he's saying? I can hear what he's saying. I'm the opposite way he's speaking, and there's a helicopter going, and the mic isn't even on him. What's wrong with your face? What?
I hear he doesn't want to go forward, but that's up to him. I mean, I would like to. By every measure, we won the debate easily last night.
By every measure, he lost every poll.
I think he was very weak. He looked weak. He was whining. We won the debate by almost every poll that I saw. If you look
As long as you don't look at any polls, I completely killed it.
at the various polls, I looked at about 6 of them. We won every one of them. So
Yeah, I looked at the one that Sean Hannity did and Laura Ingraham did, and the one that I didn't look at Fox and Friends, and I didn't look at any of the afternoon Fox shows, but the one that Tucker Carlson did of the staff, the poll of the internal White House staff.
No, I don't mind debating him. I hear he wants to get out of the debates. I don't.
No, that's not true. You don't. He doesn't. The Biden campaign has said they want to continue with them, especially because the next one's a town hall and you can actually speak. And Trump knows this. This is bullshit.
That's up to him.
There's a lot of worry about right-wing militias that are armed and going to the streets with weapons. Does that concern you that they go out there with their weapons and walk around in the streets?
It does concern me. And crime generally concerns me. Any form of crime.
Any form of crime, like the shit that Paul Manafort did and the stuff that Mike Flynn did, the stuff that George Papadopoulos and Carter Page were engaged in, any form of crime. Tax evasion, that concerns me more than anything else. Of course, fraudulently, applying for bank loans on the scale of millions of dollars. That's all forms of crime. This kind of makeup, which is a crime against the art of makeup. This weird line down the side of his face that stops right at his earlobe. That kind of thing where it's not that the president has shitty makeup, it's that he never lets the sun get on his back.
Law enforcement take care of it.
Yeah, they do. They arrest people and they put them in jail and then you pardon them if they were your friends.
So we had a problem in New York. They have 100,000 ballots that are a mess. They're all confused, all mixed up. Now they say they're going to redo them. Well, what are they going to do with 100,000 ballots that have already been sent? This is exactly what They'll
call the people who sent them in and say you didn't put the privacy envelope in or it doesn't match the signature. Would you like to remedy this? That's what they'll do. Just to be abundantly clear, and as all this bullshit goes on as he rolls this story along, can we just clarify that? Can we all do that for a second? Here's what's going to happen. If you send in your ballot and it's not accepted, the state Board of Elections will put it in a big pile of possibly wonky votes, and they're going to call you because you're registered to vote and they have your phone number and they have your email and they have all the details that are put in there. And they're going to go, hey, you need to cure your ballot, meaning you need to fix it. Your signature doesn't match. Is this really yours? There was no internal privacy envelope. You want to come in and vote again? We'll tear this one up and you can fix it. That's what's going to happen. And there's, 8 million people in New York, 100,000 ballots in that circumstance, which aren't all this, by the way. They're not all ones that need to be cured. A bunch of them are, bullshit, or bad applications. It's a mixture of shit.
Talking about it's a big scale problem.
No, it isn't.
100,000.
It's a city with 8 million people in it.
New York with the wrong names on them, wrong envelopes, wrong addresses, wrong everything. And now they want to redo the ballots. That doesn't help because what about the ones that are already sent?
Well, if they were already sent, then they they'll get a new one. But what do the people lose the ability to mail something? I can only mail one thing a year.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, bullshit.
There won't be. There won't be.
Sir, what if there is? Challenge it, sir.
And she just basically asked him what a transition of power, and he's like, there won't be a transition of power. And a lot of people get nervous about how he talked about that, but really that's just his normal like braggadocious bullshit. Like he can't admit failure or weakness or the possibility he might lose. It's it's antithetical to who he is. Why is there any reason to believe? Yeah, there's no reason to believe him. Yeah. So, by the way, this was, a clusterfuck. This whole thing last night. Anywhere, let's see. I want to find.
Before we come back to anything approaching normal, my question for both of you is, based on what you have said.
Okay, so I would like to make a point that Biden is making notes while and this is standard debate practice. You're going to actually be involved in a genuine debate. You're going to get some, like a pen and some note cards. You come out without any research materials, not because it would be bad somehow that you would be able to check stuff, during the debate and prove that you're right. It's that debates are really about your grasp of the details and your ability to react with that grasp of the details. But you come out there and also if people had their research shit, you'd have debates going on for hours going, no, I know what page it is. Hang on. So he makes notes on all these things. Wow, 318 people. Welcome. Hi, how are you? Because the computer took a dive, I apologize. I didn't say a proper hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Good to see you. I hope you survived the fustercluck that was the debate last night. It was, ultimately, two things were happening, for the record. One, somebody told Trump that if you constantly interrupt a stutterer, you will make their stutter worse. And so that was absolutely the primary tactic that he was trying to do last night. This had everything to do with attacking Joe Biden's stutter. The whole tactic, what he's trying to do, the reason he pressed it and pressed it and pressed it, has everything to do with the fact that he was just trying to make Joe Biden's stutter worse. We were talking to Stuttering John, a couple other people online who have stutters that that were mentioning this, is that this constant interruption thing is the way you make someone stutter worse. And that was the primary goal of the whole thing. Make Biden stammer more because of his stutter, and then use footage of him stammering in ads. That's it. That's the primary tactic that was going on. The other part was that it dovetailed very well into Trump himself as far as his character and behavior, because he was gacked out of his mind and defensive and chattering the entire time, because he can't do long form explanations. So he had to just throw these weird little incendiary bombs. And if you follow my Twitter feed, you know that I posted, it seems to me that I might be the only person full-throatedly supporting and backing up Hunter Biden in all this. And I will continue to do so. Because it is an angle, while there's a lot of people talking about how the fact that the Senate hasn't found any there, and, it all turned out to be bullshit, and a lot of Trump's, Trump actually tried to get in business with the Moscow mayor and failed at it. The 2014 payment to Rosemont Seneca LLC that she gave didn't go to Hunter Biden. It went to the company for consultations because she's investing her money, trying to find sound places to invest it. She's a rich woman, and Russia is not a sound place for her to invest her money. So she sent some to them to get the shit out of the country. and they, I guess, allegedly helped her with at least the consulting aspect of that. But it didn't go to Hunter in particular. It went to the company. That's a great idea, Kaling. Writing an editorial might be a great idea in defense of Hunter Biden. Because I don't know how many, like, nobody addresses this fact in anybody that I've seen. That, yes, Burisma was horribly corrupt and run by terrible people, Russian sock puppets who were trying to gut the energy sector in Ukraine to make the country more susceptible to an attack, a physical attack by Russia, and for them to be able to take the territory back. And Hunter Biden and Rosemont Seneca roll in, and now Burisma is a functioning company. And the oil and gas sector in Ukraine is not the single most corrupt thing in the entire country. As a matter of fact, the prosecutor they got kicked out was not going after the Russian sock puppets who were corrupting the entire thing. That's why he was a problem. Not that he was investigating Burisma, but that he was refusing to investigate these criminals who all fled the country and live under the protection of Vladimir Putin now, like Yanukovych and Zelensky. Like, it is, yeah. The big screen should have been for fact checking. It just have been like, we should have Steve Harvey host the next one and just have like that. Survey says. I think that's not. I mean, SNL sketch idea. I can't do it right now, but you can do a sketch. Steve Harvey, Family Feud. You get the Bidens versus the Trumps. You can make all sorts of nepotism jokes. You bring them up there. I mean, it writes itself. And you've already got somebody who plays Steve Harvey, and you've already got the set. I'm just saying. I want Biden to mention Trump's kids after the idiot started attacking Hunter. He started to, but he pulled back. And I don't blame him. Save your sketch for secular liberal. Yeah, but the problem is I have to play all those people. I don't have anybody else, and I certainly can't play Steve Harvey. I'm not doing blackface anytime soon. Okay, not gonna happen. So, like. I guess I could do Richard Dawson. I could do a way throwback one, make it a 70s look. There might be something to that. Joe Biden is class, Trump is crass. Yeah, no question.
And done so far, and what you have said you would do.
Until we get to the beginning of this thing, I want to go back over some of the stuff that was in the... I won't do the entire thing. We'll jump around a little bit. But some of this pissed me off. And because of the Proud Boys stuff, there was a lot of stuff that slid by that didn't catch the attention that it deserved.
Starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck.
Good luck.
That's my favorite line of his. Yeah.
200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan.
By the way, that was like for all the interruption and the interruptions from, and here I am interrupting, but it happened. That all of Trump's, for all the noise that Trump made during these things, there were 4 solid sections where Biden got his whole piece out. And that's one of the reasons why Trump started throwing, shit at the fan, trying to make stuff stick. And that whole chunk right now, like that right there, that's what you do in a debate.
Hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that,
which I have to say, I loved that line. That, and Trump, like, and interestingly enough, this is the one time where he's not interrupting. And I think he grew to regret it because Biden landed 3 body shots in this piece right here. And like, he doesn't have a plan. You don't panic. He panicked. It is what it is because you are, he is who he is, you know, because you are who you are. That piece, like those 3 hits, and mentioning 200,000 dead, which, by the way, the Trump campaign did not ask that the number not be asked. The Biden campaign did that as a joke, saying that the Trump campaign asked that the number not be, to show how easy it is to flood the zone with baloney. And they admitted to it.
what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. Wrong. I laid out.
Yeah, so this wrong, like doesn't mean anything. Like he thinks that actually sticks. He's seen the gif of himself saying wrong and he likes it. So he thinks that's enough. Oh yeah, I wish Biden hadn't said the damn cupboards weren't empty. Wish he had said that. Yeah.
Back in March, exactly what we should be doing.
It's so wrong. What he said there is so wrong. I can't actually. I mean, it is on tape. But
and I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear.
Chris Wallace should have brought up the phone call between Biden and Trump. Let's see, Biden, Trump phone call on COVID. There was, I want to say, yeah, it was in April, where they supposedly had a very nice phone call. It was very good. It was a very nice phone call. And this picture, this is hilarious. Biden describes his phone call. Don't get out of there. What are you doing? Biden describes his phone call with Trump about coronavirus response. So, former Vice President Joe Biden on Tuesday said he told President Donald Trump in their phone call that that the federal response to the novel coronavirus pandemic is about taking responsibility. The call, which took place Monday, marked a rare moment of direct communication between the two political rivals. The president has harshly criticized Biden over a range of issues for months. And the former vice president has repeatedly excoriated Trump's handling of the virus outbreak. But while speaking on CNN's Chris Cuomo in primetime Tuesday, Biden said that the two had a good conversation. I laid out what I thought he should be doing. I laid out 4 or 5 specific points that I thought were necessary. I indicated that it was about taking responsibility and being the commander-in-chief, taking the responsibility. He asked whether or not we would not discuss the detail of what we talked about. And you know why? You know why Trump didn't want to discuss the detail of what was in the phone call? Because Trump then proceeded to pretend that Biden's ideas were his. He was very gracious in his conversation, so it was the president had an opportunity to tell him what I would have done, what I thought, the lessons we learned. Pressed further about what he specifically told the president, Biden said he suggested that Trump fully implement the Defense Production Act. You'll notice he didn't do it until after that. Appoint a supply commander to oversee it. He hadn't done that yet. Ramp up drug testing and open up a new enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act, among the other suggestions. Obviously, the new enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act he didn't do at all, but he did. They did start ramping up the drug testing. And he was very gracious, and that was the end of the conversation. It was very short. His description of the call echoed Trump's comments Monday, where he called their discussion a wonderful, warm conversation. It was a very nice conversation. He gave me his point of view, and I fully understood that. The grown man. What gibberish. I understand that it was his point of view. What? Gave me his point of view, and I fully understood that. He had suggestions. Doesn't mean I agree with those suggestions. The president said before reiterating about the conversation. Doesn't mean you don't either, does it? Like, again, all this half speak. Jesus Christ. Conversation was very friendly. Conversation came at the start of what the U.S. Surgeon General said would be the hardest and saddest week for most American lives. This is going to be our Pearl Harbor moment, our 9/11 moment, only it's not going to be that localized. It's going to be happening all over the country, and I want America to understand that, said Jerome Adams on Fox News Sunday. Still, Biden struck an optimistic tone Tuesday, emphasizing the soul of America during times of crisis. I talk about restoring the soul of America. You're seeing the soul of America now. Look what Americans are doing, average Americans. They're not asking anything about, they're not talking about divisions based on race and ethnicity and any of that malarkey. What they're talking about is they're reaching out and helping everyone. I would like to remind you that was Joe Biden saying that, not the current sitting president of the United States of America. To clarify that. All right.
We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out.
Talk about the HEROES Act.
And get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So the hit about getting out of the bunker was Biden's. Then that chunk alone, get out of your bunker. It is what it is because you are who you are. You don't panic. He panicked, and he has no plan. Boom. Sorry, thank you.
So if we would have listened to you...
You have 2 minutes, sir.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened.
He just can't. He can't ever take responsibility for it. So
they stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in...
Our numbers are nothing. I mean, there's a lot of people dying over there. You don't care. You don't know. Lots more. We don't have that kind of... Our numbers are way better. Now, there are 200,000 dead Americans, but percentage-wise, I mean, if you really want to talk about, kind of the idea of even per capita.
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand.
Do we have a straight count? Are you directing the CDC to be honest in how many people have died from COVID? Are you going to tell us the same bullshit story that happened during the one kid in Jersey under the age of 18 who died, and everybody else was, ancient and on the way out the door, and who needs old people anyways? And sorry, Florida. How about this? How about I send you a $200 Trump card coupon for your prescription drugs to apologize for basically saying you're expendable for 6 months?
But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think
This I liked. Biden actually says that was unrelated. I was just calling you that because you are.
It closed our country. Wait a minute.
Hold on. I got to back this up real quick.
He's a racist, and
Where am I? Get out of here.
Xenophobic.
I don't know why my headset just went wonky. What are you doing? Okay, they're there.
Because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It's unrelated to your COVID. Yeah, I called you a racist and a xenophobe. That had to do with a lot of other shit. I mean, I don't have to, I'm not narrowcasting your racism or xenophobia just in this alone. I mean, come on, give me a break.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it...
Yeah, no. That wasn't what he was saying at all. They were talking about travel restrictions. The problem he had was it was more of a travel sieve.
In fact, Dr. Fauci said President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of you are Democrats.
And you would have saved tens of thousands if you'd have acted sooner. See how that works? And Trump said, and by the way, Jeannie, no, Trump does not know what xenophobia means. Hold on. I'm getting feedback on this one. I'll pause this little guy. Quit it. to video producer. There we go.
President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really?
No, Eric is not gay. Eric came out as not gay today. That's another side story. Oh, God. I love when they let the dumb one go out and make statements.
Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that.
Because they had to, or you wouldn't send PPE. This tin pot dictator bullshit where like if they weren't nice to you, you wouldn't send the necessary stuff to save the citizens of their state.
In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said,
yeah, they didn't have a choice.
That President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now
you wouldn't have made ventilators. You would have just blown off. I mean, honestly, who the hell? Ventilators? Nobody. You wouldn't have gotten ventilators. You wouldn't even thought of that just because it was a respiratory disease that was happening. Why? Why would anyone in charge, does he have this idea that the rest of his staff was against ventilators until he brought it up? But please explain to us how difficult they are. King of ventilators, we'll keep you breathing unless you're dead.
weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying.
Because time moves forward.
Done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press.
So probably for America, it's a better idea if Joe Good Press Biden gets in office. I'm sure Fox will do the exact same thing once Biden's in office. They won't go double time trying to scuttle everything that goes on.
Because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care.
Is it true Blanca and Malaria don't get along? Yeah, no, they don't like each other.
I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never
Apparently, you've gotten used to it.
The job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
And again, you don't have it in your blood. Now, I don't know if that's a slam on the fact that he's Irish or that Trump believes in German racial superiority as a drumpf, but it certainly dovetails into his bullshit later and his odd idea about good genes. You don't have it in your blood? Really?
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you
done.
didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far more people. Far more people.
So gross.
You would have been.
And by the way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr.
Johnson
Fauci.
Johnson, Pfizer?
And by the way,
Johnson, Pfizer, Moderna. I say these companies all the time. They're very rich.
And
Gentlemen,
They're, of course, doing ads against me because of my drug price thing. But at the same time, I'm kissing their ass. What? Wait,
Let me move on to questions about the future, because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask.
Oh, Hillary was indeed right about it.
Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to.
I love how he goes, like he nods at vaccine, and then it doesn't occur to him until the sentence is almost done where it's going, and then he rejects the idea. So a lot of times he does this kind of drag nod and then goes, wait a minute, what?
The public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui.
But why would you put someone who's confused in charge of the CDC?
Head of your Operation Warp Speed has said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did that. I missed it last night too.
Exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives.
God.
It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna.
I talked to a lot of the people that are speaking.
Johnson & Johnson and others. They can go faster than that by a lot.
It's the stupid safety measures that are screwing my timeline.
Very political because the left, or I don't know if I call them left, I don't know what I call
the
them.
head of your Operation Warp Speed.
So by the way, he is so ham-handedly screwing the pooch on this whole like drive the left away from Biden thing, where he's trying to get the faux-gressives to get all noisy and you saw a bunch of like, I'm just going to say Bernie would have won, blah, 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 last night. You saw those people start to pipe up because their feeds started saying stuff to them, and that got them ginned up to say something. That's because their feed is full of Russian bots and bullshit, and that's part of the plan. That's the plot. That's the ploy that they're doing right now.
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said,
oh my God, Christina FF, thank you for all the gifted subs. It's amazing. It's amazing.
it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
he said
Dr.
it's a
Redfield.
possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also
I'm
be
talking
after
about when it's
that.
generally available. Not when
Well,
it would
we're
be.
going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set.
Yeah. Again, how many times do we have to say this? Where? Please interview Chris Wallace. Do a roundtable of his supporters, hardcore Boatin' Trumpsters, and go, how many of you are going to go head out there and get your shot from the military in a Walmart parking lot?
We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day.
They deliver soldiers for Christmas?
Oh my God, what is it? A tennis racket? It's a new sofa, isn't it? Nope, it's your own soldier.
Delivers 200,000. Thank you, Christina.
Going to be
This is the same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it.
Oh, he goes, that was sarcastic. This defense is awesome.
This is the
That
same
was
man.
said sarcastically,
That was
and you
him.
know that.
That was said sarcastically, and you know that. Do we need to go back and look at that? And then the next day, 3 days after that, again and again and again, he goes, well, but if you really think about it, it would work.
Dead sarcastic.
And so here's the deal. This man,
That was said sarcastically, and you know it. After it blew up in my face. What are you talking about? That was sarcastic. Jesus Christ.
talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine
I
sooner
want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine.
By the way, hold on one second. I'm calling something up just so we can revisit this little nugget, shall we? Hold on one second. I gotta. It'll just take me a moment. There we go. Here we go. Play. Pause. There we go. Turn this on. Drag this over. Burp. There you go. Look at that. Hold on. Drag this guy out. Make it a little bigger. Then bring the guy up to this guy. There you go. So, let's see. Bring this guy up.
Totally into that world, which I find to be very interesting. So, supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And
Light bulb up the ass.
You're going to test that too.
Yeah, we're going to shove a couple of light bulbs up. We're going to do one of those hue light strips so we can change, we can just kind of dial the color in and see what it cures.
Interesting. Right.
By the way, nice part in your hair. Did you do that with a hatchet?
And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. So there it is. That's the sarcasm, kids. That's sarcasm. Just the biggest pile of bullshit. Just a grown man. What we saw there was not sarcasm. What we saw was an idiot trying to appear smart. Because this is when they were showing that chart from the CDC, I think it was the Department of Defense did this weird study about what kills it on what surface and all that stuff.
Bill, a question that probably some of you are thinking of if you're totally into that world, which I find to be very interesting. So, supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or...
Moon River. Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
in some other way.
Use an old fist, Doc. Just relax.
And I think you said you're going to test
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number.
Remember
of
this?
So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
Get the hell out of here. Like, I mean, we dealt with this back when he said it, and we were all flipping out, and we were all right to. But this nonsense where this jackass, hold on, why does that page move over there? Don't do that. I don't want that. This was sarcastic. You know that.
And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up the...
You'll have the vaccine soon.
Hold on. So, wait.
I bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically, you know that. That was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking...
First of all, do you know what sarcasm is? I mean, a lot of people have the problem with like verbal irony versus sarcasm, but for fuck's sake, do you not know what sarcasm is? And by the way, in that circumstance, what it would mean if he was being sarcastic in that moment, that basically he was in the middle of a task force briefing during the worst period of deaths in this country. He turned to his CDC task force team and the doctors on it and went, "What are you guys thinking next? You're going to inject bleach in people, you dumbasses? What are you going to... Oh, here's a great idea. Why don't you shove a light bulb up somebody's ass? That ought to solve it." Really? He meant facetious. Perhaps, yeah. But that's, again, asshole doesn't even know what sarcasm is.
About a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up, though.
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine
I
sooner
want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say
Well, I mean, we'll say you do, whether you do or
the
not.
public
We'll inject it right after the bleach and the light bulb.
trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed, given the fact that polls already show that.
Yeah, this is Chris Wallace going, aren't you guys contributing to kind of an anti-vax narrative? When they're like, no, we want a vaccine to work. We believe in vaccines. Our concern is that this asshole's putting political pressure on the CDC and these companies and letting them cut corners in a way that'll end up hurting people.
People are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it. Are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't, or
knows.
Senator
And
Harris is saying
no,
you can't trust the scientists.
No. You can't trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists, there's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not, they're the people, and by the way.
I spoke to the scientists that are in charge.
By the way.
They will have.
Put it in charge of the people, the companies that are going to make the most money, and they said it's totally going to work, and we're paying for it. And also, it'll be almost free, like water or insulin. I mean, is there really a difference?
Biden wants to put together an independent group of scientists who will verify the value and the science around the vaccine itself to make sure that it's safe, so that not necessarily because they will find out that it isn't per se, but that the general public will feel safer taking it because they won't, those that support Biden won't distrust it because of that, and those that support Trump will be more apt to, it'll take that ammunition where they're like, I'm not taking some UN hoax disease vaccine.
Vaccine very soon.
Let him finish.
Do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market, one of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
So-
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart?
Did you use the word smart?
This was a weird one. The like, and I think let's see, Trump, Biden, Delaware, like they bring up this thing about Trump brings up this thing that apparently he sells this idea that Biden said he went to the University of Delaware. This is the response. This is the PolitiFact to that particular one.
You said you went to Delaware State. You've got the name of your college. This one. This is where he's going.
So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college.
Okay, so this is what he's talking about. Biden never said he went to Delaware State. If your time is short, Biden once said that he got his start at the school because he received support there when he announced his bid for Senate on the campus. During a heated exchange, I don't know if that was a heated exchange in this part of it, Trump's claim was putting words in Biden's mouth. The former vice president never said that he attended Delaware State. Trump appeared to be referring to a remark that Biden made at a town hall in Florence, South Carolina, where he said that he got his start at DSU. In context, it's clear that Biden wasn't implying that he went to the university, but referencing the support he received from the school in 1972 when he announced his run for U.S. Senate on the campus. The university itself pushed back on conservative media outlets reporting that Biden falsely claimed to attend the school, which he didn't do. Featured fact check Facebook post. says there was one that says Joe Biden has a medical device implanted in his skull so he can hear someone give him answers to questions. They gave that one a pants on fire. For the record, Biden attended the University of Delaware. We rate this claim as false. And again, you're Biden. Do you bother to deal with this bullshit when it comes up? You waste your time? Or do you just go, nonsense? Can we move on?
You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years, you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
No,
if you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See,
Not both of those statements are false as well.
We'll get to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
okay.
It's going up fast.
Okay.
Look forward to talking.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I'd know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to provide
Tell that
them
to Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the way,
Crying Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have
Crying Chuck. I have a nickname for him, in case you haven't heard it. Crying Chuck. Which, by the way, is there... I have to be honest, I don't know quite why Crying Chuck is the one, is the name. Was there a moment? Am I missing it? Is he just saying because he cries? Honest to God. Does anybody know the one, like, is there some singular moment? There was? Flying Doodle? Because I didn't see the launch of that. Yeah, but either way, like, I'll see if I can find it in there. Why Trump calls I'll just get crying Chuck. So Trump taunts crying Chuck Schumer. President says the Senate's lost in a recent fight over government shutdown. Offering and then withdrawing a proposal to support funding for a border wall between Mexico and one of Trump's goals in return for a package of, to protect illegal immigrants brought to the United States as children. DACA in return for, Schumer made the suggestion as a way to avoid the shutdown and proposed the immigration deal fell through, and Schumer aides said Tuesday his proposal for the wall was also withdrawn. Trump wrote on Twitter Tuesday night, crying Chuck Schumer fully understands, especially the yeah, I don't see it in there. Trump, oh, here it is. Trump reminds Louisiana rally why he calls him Crying Chuck. Because I saw him cry once. I call him Crying Chuck because I saw him cry one time while making a speech. I said, isn't that sad? I've never seen him cry before. I call him Crying Chuck. Trump was referencing an incident that took place in January 2017 when Schumer shed tears during a speech where he condemned Trump's harsh immigration policies. This executive order was mean-spirited and un-American, Schumer said during a press conference. It was implemented in a way that created chaos and confusion across the country, and it will only serve to embolden and inspire those around the globe who would do us harm.
I noticed Chuck Schumer today with fake tears, Trump told reporters shortly after the senator gave a speech. I'm going to ask him who was his acting coach because I know him very well. I don't see him as a crier. There's about 5% chance that it was a real, but I think it was fake tears. He's repeatedly called Schumer the nickname before, particularly during periods when he and top Democrats have disagreed over policies such as tariffs on Mexico. Crying Chuck told his favorite lie. He had a temper tantrum. Can you imagine Crying Chuck? Okay. So basically, because the idea is that, hold on. Let's see if I can, on here.
Ear stuff, you know, a little.
This is the, here.
You need to fire your far-left governor. Again, he talks, but he won't be there when it needs a vote, because when Pelosi and all of these characters from Washington call him up, Schumer, how about Chuck? Crying Chuck. I call him Crying Chuck because I saw him cry one time while making a speech. I said, isn't that sad? I've never seen him cry before. I call him Crying Chuck. Crying Chuck. Little ear stuff, you know,
Little ear stuff.
You need to.
So, okay, this is new in some ways. Can we, little ear stuff, he gestures that he's putting drops in his eyes. Little ears, did you guys notice that? Little ear stuff, and then watch what he does.
Speech, I said, isn't that sad? I've never seen him cry before. I call him Crying Chuck. Crying Chuck. Little ear stuff, you know,
Little ear stuff. These are your eyes. These are your ears. Eye drops. You don't put eardrops in your eyes. What the hell is that? First of all, he's mocking someone for crying, which, you know, I mean, we'll definitely see him cry for probably the first time in his life sometime in the next 5 months. But as far as, you know, visibly seeing it. Did he say tear stuff?
Crying Chuck. Little ear stuff, you know,
No. Little ear stuff.
Crying Chuck. Little ear stuff, you know,
There's no T on that. There was definitely no T on that. Little tear stuff maybe is what he meant, but even that's weird.
Crying Chuck. Little ear stuff, you know,
What the shit is that? Look, he is miming right now, squeezing drops into his eyes, saying little ear stuff. Seriously? Thank you, Kathy. Yes, no one else grabbed that piece. Yeah, look at that. I mean, nailed it as far as your camera freeze. Dude is squeezing stuff into his eyeballs, saying little ear stuff. I don't know who isn't into ear stuff. Seriously. The little suction bulb used for baby ears. I think you're being, first of all, I think you're being very charitable. But he didn't raise his children. He had nothing to do with the raising of his children. He didn't change diapers. He doesn't feed babies. He doesn't feed infants. He doesn't play with them. He didn't play catch, any of that shit. So the idea that he would know that a suction bulb went in the ear even is absurd. This is just odd. Like this one just went by the wayside.
I call him Crying Chuck. Crying Chuck. Little ear stuff, you know,
Yeah, they even, look, it's even written on the screen. Little ear stuff, you know. What the hell is that? What? Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, this is embarrassing.
Plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with him in the Senate.
And by the way, that's true. Mnuchin is doing all the meeting with Pelosi. They're talking about the chance that there might be a deal. And the reason there might be a deal by the end of the week is because after last night, Trump needs it desperately.
He sits on his golf course, and literally, think about it.
You probably play more than I do, Joe.
That was just weird. You probably play more than I do. Especially, come on, guys. That was one of the more. Did you guys notice that too? Like I did. So Trump's defense when he gets called out for playing golf all the goddamn time is you probably play more. Add that ear stuff to the clip. I did, Queen Faye. Trump's defense against Biden calling him out for the second time on golfing all the goddamn time is you probably golf more than I do, Joe. Okay, first of all, isn't his line of defense that Biden never goes anywhere and he's feeble and he doesn't come out of his house and he lives in his basement? So how the shit does he play more golf than you do? You know what I mean? Like, you can't even stick to your own stupid line of attack.
He sits on his golf course, and literally, think about it.
You probably play more than I do, Joe.
What about this question of reopening?
Yeah, I'm like, Biden just laughs it off. I'm like, what the hell is... seriously, that's one of those things where, like, if Chris Wallace had a moment going, what are you talking about? You keep saying he never leaves his basement. How could he play more golf than you own 5 golf courses? This is so... that, like, some of the attacks you can see coming, and he's going to attack Hunter, and he's going to attack, you're not smart, and yada, yada. But the whole storyline that they're putting is that Biden has dementia, he can't function, he doesn't know where everything is, and where anything is, he would have ruined and destroyed the country, he's going to send us into bankruptcy, and all he does is hide in his basement, he doesn't talk to the press, and he needs a teleprompter for everything. And then his response about golf is, you golf more than I do. What?
And the fact...
Well, he wants to shut down this country, and I want to keep it open. And we did a great thing by shutting it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned.
So now that we know that, let's open it up and kill them. We can, before the death tax goes back online.
But young children aren't.
And by the way, Steve-O says Biden's a private citizen. He can do whatever he wants. Biden doesn't golf. Yeah, there just isn't footage of him playing golf that I know of. Is there? Let's see. Maybe he golfs. I've golfed in my life, but I don't consider myself a golfer. Let's see. Biden golfing. Let's see. He's probably golfed. Let's see. Biden versus Trump. Golfing habit controversy. June 30th. Does Joe Biden golf? Doesn't do a lot for Trump's case. As far as like the first picture that comes up. Biden versus Trump. Golfing habits and controversy. With only a few months to go before the U.S. presidential election, we thought we would take time to see what Joe Biden's golfing habits were. He's got some golf cleats. He's got some real golf shoes there. He wears shorts when he golfs. Something he's not, that we're aware of, wearing a diaper. And he's shaking hands with a black person, which we have never seen Trump do on a golf course that I'm aware of. Does Joe Biden golf? Yes, Joe Biden is a golfer, and a decent one at that. He started playing golf around 20 years ago when he turned 57. According to Biden, he has a 6.3 handicap, which he's reported to Golf Digest. However, in 2016, Golf estimated the vice president's golf handicap was around 10. Some of his political rivals, like former Ohio Governor John Kasich, who have disputed Joe Biden's claims about being a good golfer. During a speech at the Republican National Convention, Kasich said, Joe Biden told me he was a good golfer, and I played golf with Joe Biden. I can tell you that's not true, as well as all of the other things he says. There you go, Kasich. Really, go for the Go for the jugular. Ouch. Well, here at the presidential golf track, it doesn't matter if Joe Biden's good or bad at golf. Former vice president wins the 2020 election. We're just happy he plays golf in the first place. This is golf. Presidentialgolftracker.com. Is Joe Biden a better golfer than Trump? No. Joe Biden is not a better golfer than Donald Trump. We measured by self-proclaimed golf handicaps. Well, there you go. Trump claims he has a golf handicap of 2.8. Former vice president claims he has a golf handicap of 6.3. It's difficult to know for sure who is better golf when we only have self-disclosed golf handicaps to rely on. You mean this is really a contest of bullshitting? Let's see. Biden criticized Trump for playing golf. Almost 100,000 Americans have died. Many Trump supporters cried foul, pointed at Biden's own golfing history and wasteful spending as vice president is the reason why he shouldn't be so critical. The controversy lies in the fact that Joe Biden flew Air Force One many times to play golf with President Obama and other politicians during his term as vice president, costing the U.S. taxpayers money. Air Force records show that almost $1 million in costs were incurred flying between Joint Base Andrews, Washington, D.C., and Wilmington, Delaware between 2009 and 2013. Unfortunately, the exact amount spent on golf-related trips by Biden is unknown. So they spent $1 million flying between D.C., Wilmington, Delaware, and Joint Base Andrews, where they bounced through. But in the entire time between 2009 and 2013, interestingly, our own estimates of total cost to U.S. taxpayer for President Trump's golf habit is over 100 times the amount compared to Biden's estimated cost. Estimates on total Trump golfing costs are about $100 million. Now, it's way higher than that. This is when? This is June 30th. It's we've got somewhere in the order of like 170 million at this point, and on his own properties. For the record, yeah, these are not This is like saying he went someplace and he played basketball while he was there. This is not at his own property. If Biden owned these places and the Secret Service and everybody else was playing retail for it, but I mean, like the absurdity that like. You probably play more golf than I do is one of the weirdest, stupid hits.
Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November 3rd.
I want to move on to another
because
subject.
it's a political
subject.
Yeah, because it's a political thing. But, so this is the storyline. They're going to keep it locked down until November 3rd because they're just trying to hurt Trump. But as soon as Biden gets in, he's going to lock the whole country down and ruin the economy. So which is it? If it's a hoax and they're just going to open the country right after the election because it's all bullshit and they're only doing it to hurt him, then why would Biden shut it down again? This goes to the whole, like, you probably play more golf than I do, but you never leave the house. How Chris Wallace is trying to hide Trump's crazy. Yeah, well, they're protecting him from himself. But, like, I mean, this is just friggin' goofy. Pick a line of attack and stick to it.
But those states are not doing well that are shut down right now.
Got to respond to that.
President Trump, you have begun to...
He wants to shut down the whole thing. But they're going to open it as soon as the election's over.
Honestly. What is that? I know I'm probably nitpicking on this one particular point, but this is one we've seen again and again, and he does it again in the debate, and nobody brings it up. Like, if you were Chris Wallace in that moment, one of the things you're going like, wait a second. So he never leaves his house, and he doesn't know what's going on, but he golfs more than you do, and they're going to open the country the day after the election because they're only shutting it down to screw with you, but as soon as Biden gets in, he's going to shut down the country. For what? Like, that is one of the weirdest.
Recently questioned the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. tonight as an example.
When I think I need it. Notice he folds it in half, touches the outside of it, touches the surface of the... Now, they've mopped this place down. He lives in a pristine environment. They're keeping him isolated. He insists on it. I think Biden may even in this next segment, this might be the moment when he brings up like, no, you guys keep away from me. I don't want to catch it.
Well, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say,
By the way, he's currently not wearing a mask, and he's 15 feet away from you.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money. The Congress.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
no.
Yeah, this is the weirdest. They've also said the opposite. So what would the opposite be? If we all wear masks between now and January, we could kill an extra 100,000. Seriously, that's the opposite. So, process that for a second. Seriously, process that idea. Understand what he's, it's one thing to say they've also said it doesn't help, which would be the other, the interpretation. They've also said it, and he'll say, mask good in a minute. But seriously, this point, they've also said the opposite. The opposite would be if you wore masks, if there's going to be 200,000 dead by the end of the year, and you wore masks, there would be 300,000 dead by the end of the year. That's the opposite of saving half the lives. Jesus.
No serious person said the opposite.
Yeah. Nobody. They've also said it. They have.
Serious.
Look at Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
He did not say the opposite.
We got
Biden knows what he actually said more than he does.
Very
more than a minute left in this
masks
segment.
Masks are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said mask good. I'm okay with it.
He said mask good. I love Cro-Magnon Fauci, the Captain Caveman version of Fauci. Mask good. Oh, one come down from great mountain, wearing masks, no good. But when great river beast rise up, and volcano god must be appeased, so we wear, so mask good. What the hell? What the hell? He said mask good.
Well, look at Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
He did not say the opposite.
We got a little bit more than a minute left in this
masks
segment.
Masks are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said mask good. I'm okay with masks. I'm not fighting.
Then he changed his mind, said mask good. No, they were running out of PPE. People were buying up all the N95 masks. They needed them for hospitals. For Christ's sake. They were saying stay home, don't go out. Don't buy masks because we need them. We're running low.
About one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people. Outside, yes, sir, agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with...
Because nobody will show up.
People with...
Well, it's true. Nobody shows up to his rallies.
All right.
They don't invite people. It's not a rally. These are public events to speak to specific groups of voters, not to give speeches and show off and get praise from a crowd.
In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
but are you not worried about it spreading disease?
President, and I'll have 25, 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you not worried about the disease issues, sir?
By the way, he's had a bunch inside.
Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever.
Tell that to Herman Cain. No problem whatsoever. Herman Cain is dead. I mean, he's still tweeting, but he's dead. And he caught COVID or brought COVID from or to Trump's rally where no one was wearing masks.
Outside, that's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see
sir.
one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative
cheek to
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35,
Herman Cain is dead.
40,000 people at these rallies.
Long live Herman Cain.
Yes.
Quickly finish up because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you
This is so weird. If you could get the crowds, you'd do the same thing. No, you wouldn't.
and nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on
Nobody
to the
cares.
gentlemen? Can
Nobody cares. He's beating you by 10 points.
we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy is.
It's awesome. I wish we'd have had a pandemic sooner, honestly.
I think it's fair to say recovering faster than expected from the.
No, that's not fair to say. Chris Wallace of Fox News. As a matter of fact, bring on Stuart Varney from Fox Business and say that to his face. And watch that British bastard who likes Trump, thinks the sun shines out of Trump's ass. Ask him that question and watch him laugh in your face.
Down
Much faster.
in the second quarter. The unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference?
So V-shaped recovery. Basically it hits a wall. It drops off. So here we go. We're coming along. K-shaped recovery. Takes a shit. Then it starts to go up, and what it does is it splits in 2 directions. So the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. So it creates a K. That's what the K-shaped recovery is. V-shaped recovery is it used to be here, it goes back up to where it was, and this was just a temporary dip. Just in case there's any clarification. It is a K-shaped recovery. Everybody on the financial markets, including Fox Business, talks about this. They know this is a fact.
Mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed.
Not true. After World War II, we had a 2.1% unemployment rate.
It down because of the China
Home ownership started to grow like crazy.
plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically
The recession started in February.
to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never.
One person is not too much. That statement in and of itself is ridiculous and dismissive of reality. If there's a disease that only kills one person, none of this becomes part of the national conversation. Nobody. There are lots of diseases that kill less than 5 people. It does not affect the greater economy at all. None of this is, that statement, one is too many, means, I really do care about people. It's bullshit. It's a fake form of empathy. You're trying to say that, every life matters. Then say that. One life is too many still puts human beings in a numeric sense. He still can't humanize them. 204,000 is a horrible hit. Every one of those lives matters. But we have to look at the ancillary effects on the economy and how it's going to affect people long term. If we lose, 1.5 million people, because of the shutdown, then that's something we have to think about, and we have to balance the needs of that, and it's a very delicate thing. That's a conversation worth having, and it's precisely the conversation that Biden is having. How you do it safely and make sure that you get the companies the PPE and the money they need to open safely, slowly, step by step, and the schools the same way. You mitigate those two. You understand that there's it's a rock and a hard place, and you're trying to balance between the two as you fix this problem and keep the other one from becoming an overt catastrophe. That's what it means to be a leader. This whole one is too many is his attempt to bullshit his way into making it sound like he's empathetic. Every time somebody says, one life is too many in this administration, they are trying to create the illusion of empathy. And it's because they only think of people as numbers. That's why they say one life is too many. One life, one, not a human being, not a person, just a living thing. One is too many. And that's because they think in terms of 200 versus one. Here's what you say. If you are a politician or you're a leader with any skills, ilk, or care for the people you actually oversee. 204,000 people have died. It is a horrible disaster and the worst epidemic to hit our country since 1918. Every single one of those lives mattered, and the families attached to them matter as well. They are mourning. All of them are seeing a shift in their life that is tragic and will affect how they do in school, how they do at work, how their relationships go for a significant amount of time. This is a national tragedy. What we have to do is balance the response to this tragedy to mitigate those deaths as best we can, keep that number down while not allowing how we manage this shutdown to create more deaths that also create families that that have dead family members from overdoses, suicides, illnesses that were not diagnosed because they didn't go to the hospital. And this balance is necessary. Every one of those lives has value as well. And this is the valley we are walking through as the American people. That's how you do it. As a leader, it's not that hard to make people aware of the challenges that are in front of them and how much you care. If you actually do, that's Trump's problem. Trump's problem is you're a number. You're either one of his good ratings, you got great marks, which is like a scratch on a prison wall at this point, or you are one of the people who are fueling his good economy by the stocks you're buying and the money you're producing, or you're not. And therefore you're a drag. You're not a human being. Can't relate to any of these folks. So every time, all along when we look back at some of these things, but every time going forward, when they say one life is too many, first of all, it's a lie. Nobody gives a shit. 100,000 people die of bad medical interactions. You think we've upended our entire medical system every goddamn year to figure out why people are getting the wrong foot cut off or getting a shot of, insulin or, the wrong drug? Have we done that? 100,000 people every friggin' year. His relaxing of the coal sleuth standards are sending kids to the emergency room all through eastern Kentucky and Tennessee. They're creating cancer clusters through all that. Dozens, hundreds of people are dying from that every year. So if one life is too many, then what the shit are we having coal plants for? Are you kidding me? Is one life too many with black lung? Fuck off. No individual thinks that their singular death will grind all of society to a halt and cause people to stay at home and commit suicide and die of drug overdoses because their businesses have all been shut down because you passed away. Only an egotist would think in those terms. But it's because he thinks of people in numeric terms only. Other than that, I have no opinion.
Happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce.
You didn't put them back into the workforce. They went back to jobs they already had.
It's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen.
Yeah, because nobody's ever seen a collapse of 35 million jobs either. 22 million people are still out of work, jackass.
Before. And he wants to close down.
That's a great point, Gonzo. What about one unarmed killing by cops? One life matters. Yeah, he doesn't want to do any police reforms after George Floyd died. One life doesn't matter in that circumstance. One life is too many. Well, then upend our police system. Go through there with a fine-tooth comb. Broom out all the white supremacists. Open up all the IA investigations on a federal level and start getting rid of bad cops who are on the take or murdering people. Save the lives of the good cops by doing this. One life. Even one life is too many. Well, Trayvon Martin died before he got a chance. And this is not police related. This is a citizen killed by another citizen. And in my estimation, Trayvon Martin attacked George Zimmerman because he was being followed by a man with a gun. He was alone and had no gun, hid in the bushes, and tried to save his own life. And this asshole killed him. Through all this, he was fighting George Zimmerman when Zimmerman tried to, he was being followed by a guy with a gun. A citizen, not an officer of the law. Just a random fuck with a gun. He tried to save his own life. He never got a chance to vote. So vote. Because that was a right taken away from Trayvon Martin.
He will shut it down again. He will destroy the...
Why would he shut it down if you're just going to open it on November 5th or whatever?
Country. A lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening in some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election.
Because they have a plan.
They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they
can do whatever they want. What's wrong with you? What the shit is wrong with you? Why wouldn't you just go? People know how to social distance. They can wash their hands. They can clean common surfaces. If they're ill, they stay home. They can wear masks. You can afford to open up these areas. We need to add, double down on our sanitation. Then he's got to throw in, they can do whatever they want.
Open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, and these governors are under siege, Pennsylvania, Michigan.
Under siege? Why? Because you told your asshole followers to threaten them?
Michigan and a couple of others. You got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with...
Almost like being in prison. Because prison has Netflix and Postmates. Almost like being in prison. Yeah. You're going to know what it's like to be almost in prison. Some of those places have golf courses.
Divorce. Look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And
you have to manage it through leadership. And one of the ways you do that is by managing expectations. People will not fall into drug abuse and alcohol abuse if you give them a manageable, realistic timeline that is worse than what they would expect. That if it ends up being good news, this is our line, possibly sooner. This is our line, possibly sooner, but we really are going to lock down for this amount of time to kill this in its stead.
We'll close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right, your 2 minutes. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis have done very well. Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750.
Well, listen to that. Listen to that shot in the middle. They're doing well. No, they're not. Nobody's doing well right now. People are making do.
In taxes.
Sir, wait, no, sir, it's just yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in the way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID
22 states, by the way.
Cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools. Why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah.
They were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right. Your time is up, sir. Well, we are going to get to...
I have to respond to that.
Well, you both have...
I have to respond to that. We're doing great. Everybody's great. I don't know about your 401k, but my sons bought Abbott stock.
2 minutes.
They got in and out of Kodak stock in a day.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So did you.
People want their schools.
He was responding. You each got that.
People want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their restaurants. I look at New York. It's so sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've.
Okay. For everybody that is pushing this whole, it'll never come back. It was never like things are going to life will permanently be the same and permanently be this way and it's never going to be the same again and all this kind of bullshit. Like, can I say for the record, just for the record, life will be vibrant again and people will interact again and we will live in a largely maskless society again sooner than you think, probably within a year. But for the record, after 1918, 1920, when the Spanish flu rolled through, the entire 20s happened, which was a crazy decade of like dance halls and huge crowds, bars and intermingling like that. For almost one of the first times post-industrial revolution in the United States that you had that kind of mass socializing in large cities. Like, if we can do it after the Spanish flu with the technology available then, we can do it after this with the technology available now. It's absurd. And so scaring people that like New York's never going to be the same. New York is going to be busy as shit. Like New Year's 2023 is going to be like you won't be able to crowbar another person into that goddamn town. Please.
In New York, people want their places open. They want to get back to their lives.
Biden for the Roaring 20s, that's a great idea.
They'll be careful, but they want their schools open. I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football.
Jesus, this is just embarrassing.
It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
all right,
people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know how I found out? When he took
gentlemen,
we're
going to get to your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President,
I'm sitting in total darkness.
As you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars.
In taxes. His companies, all these ancillary situations where they had to pay taxes on sales tax. He's counting all kinds of tax in there. I paid all kinds of taxes. No. Your federal income tax as alleged billionaire, you pay as an individual human being, you paid $750. Now, he paid a bunch more and then got a refund for all but $750 of it.
Of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers.
Show us your tax
I paid $38 million
Show us your tax returns.
1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax
1 year.
returns.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under-leveraged because the assets are extremely good.
Bullshit. This is his fraud document he gave to the Board of Elections that allegedly shows what his holdings are. It shows none of his debts to foreign entities that do show up in his taxes. By the way, I would love for the New York Times, if they're listening to the sound of my voice, and I think they are, if you guys would take that document from the Board of Elections and compare and contrast it to the documents you got. Can you please do that? Because I think that as a primary, my message, if I may, to the New York Times, because you're looking for a new angle on how to play this, Trump brought this up himself. Take his financial disclosure forms that he used in 2016 and that he allegedly issues a new one for 2020. I don't know that he has, but I think he's still riding on the one from 2016 and pretending everything is the same. Take those documents and compare and contrast them to each other in an article, side by side. This is what he said he made. This is what he said this property's worth. This is what he said the property's worth in his taxes. This is what he said it's worth, what his debts were. This is what we found out his debts actually were. Please. It's 180 pages. You've got 20 years of this shit. It shouldn't be hard. Link that stuff. Am I wrong? Come on, New York Times. You're welcome. Dude's a debt vulture. Never had a day of profit in his life.
I built
Sir,
a great
I'm asking
company.
you a specific.
You didn't build a great company. It was your dad's company. It was your dad's company. You haven't built anything since 1991. You slap your name on shit. It's a branding company. You're a Kardashian without the makeup line.
Question, which
But
is,
let me tell you.
I understand all of that.
Release your
I
tax
understand
return.
all of that.
But let me-
No, Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750?
Millions of dollars. And
And how much did you get refunded to you? What was it out of pocket? That's the question.
get to see it.
I-
And you'll get to
When?
see it.
What, you'll get to see it sometime in 2028.
But let me just
After he dies,
tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something.
when he's old. I'm not threatening the president, just for the record. I'm just saying, he'll have something in his will that releases them as a fuck you.
It was tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every
I was a private business people. Jesus. I was a private that's going to be the name of Trump's autobiography.
before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like
I was a private business people. Yeah, that sounds legitimate. And again, first of all, when Biden flubs, and he does, and he reverses words, or he speaks out of turn, or he overlaps something, and I've done that, and you've done that, we've all done that. I don't pick on him. And the reason I don't is because he doesn't claim to have the best words and the best brain and the best memory ever and great genes, and I'm really just built for this and I understand everything magically. If he started doing that kind of like Inspector Clouseau bullshit, then we'd all laugh when he falls downstairs. Because hubris is what makes this, is the entire point of pointing this bullshit out. That's a hundred. This is not what I wanted for my birthday.
Every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed.
Dude, then tell us you paid. Then why are you stupid and you paid millions of dollars?
A tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build a building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired right after that happened. But
Vice President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes on the money a school teacher makes is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you weren't president. Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were
president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe.
By the way, he's like, why didn't you overturn these things before? And he's like, I'm talking about your tax cuts. The laws about depreciation and stuff and all that kind of stuff are valuable and important to running a business and stuff like that. That's not, by the way, and that's not what Trump is doing at all. Let's be abundantly clear. Nobody's bitching about that. Like, they might think that they're a bit egregious, and people can laugh about the $70,000 haircut, blah, 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 which, again, I think he's double dipping. I think that's straight up fraud because there's no way The Apprentice did not provide him with hair and makeup as part of his contract on his own. And if he paid himself $70,000 to cut his own hair and do it in the morning and not let anybody touch it, that's hilarious. But whatever. But the main focus of the issues that most people have with the tax story that came out in the New York Times and that will continue to come out is that Ivanka Trump is on salary with the Trump campaign, and he also paid her as a consultancy, consultant fees, so that they could get out of paying taxes on hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over time. That they hid this money, that they double dipped, that they fraudulently claimed losses when they talked to the IRS and fraudulently claimed gains when they talked to banks. That's what this is about. Not whether or not he was smart with the tax code. He's a crook.
I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing, including fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care of your vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you.
Man, like, at this point, you're Biden just like, how do you not roll your eyes and just go, all right, you just keep flapping?
About your plans.
Which I think he actually did at one point. He's like, yeah, keep flapping.
Forward, because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be elected president,
he has none. He has one. It's on his website.
This is a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes.
You don't think $2.5 trillion on the military when we're not at war is big spending? You don't think $68 billion as part of a farm bailout is big spending? You don't think the DPA ends up being big spending? We dumped $6.8 trillion on the economy. The deficit was double what it was under Obama last year. It's now, 5 times larger?
You propose more than $4 trillion
over 10 years.
For a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
But the president, you have to understand, Chris, is a moron.
Take a look at what as the analysis done by Wall Street firms points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make this federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But respectfully, sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it before when you were vice president with Obama?
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was your...
Yeah, he's like, that's your bill. Why didn't you fix the things that I broke? Is basically like Trump's argument at this point.
Tax proposal.
I got it done. And you know what happened?
Yeah, you got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed
The economy is busted.
Mr. President, Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation.
Be careful, you don't want everybody at Fox to chub all at once.
Correct?
Not lower taxes for American people.
Excuse me.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming, it turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929.
Yeah, because it was the biggest economic crash since 1929. See how that works? Wait, what do you think? The dot-com bubble even charts?
Was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery
Jesus.
Since 1929. Let me tell you about
By the way, this is the guy who was against the auto bailout.
Stock market.
Oh, by the way, we can't do this whole thing. I'm going to be on all evening if we keep this up. We're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. There is, I don't know if this rally is actually happening. Let me see if because we're going to, like, God forbid we end up chasing this nonsense down. 35 minutes. I'm curious what he says at this thing. I might have to come back on later to do
When
it.
the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my tax.
Yeah, Biden has a speech that he's given right now, too. And the whistle stop tour thing is pretty cool, I have to say. Let me, hold on one second. Let me see if I can find the Biden remarks thing. Yeah, it just ends up being the same bullshit. But I like chipping away at this. I may go back to this a couple of times, because we can't do the whole thing all in one fell swoop. You know what I mean? See if this thing can wake up in the interim. Slowly I turn inch by inch. No, and don't even get me started on the Comey testimony. I could do a whole 3 hours on that. Good Lord. Let's see. Why are we still listening to Jim Cramer about shit, by the way? I mean, literally, dude got busted for insider trading. See if we can do this. It's a Biden speech. If it shows up, filter today. You guys are awesome, by the way. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see. Go. This is the. I have to say this. Okay, so this is from their own site. Let me see.
Member, and my wife Tiffany is a proud member with the Ohio Federation of Teachers and a 5th grade teacher at Lordstown Elementary School.
On the website, this is their own campaign website.
For 17 years, I worked on the assembly line
they have,
at the GM Lordstown plant.
Sign language interpreter.
Home of the Chevy
whole time.
Cruze. When the plant closed its doors last March, my family and so many others in our beloved Lordstown we're faced with an agonizing decision and an uncertain economic future.
And
I
by the way,
accepted a transfer to the GM plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
for the record, I did hear him say inshallah, and, you know, like as part of his phrasing or whatever, and there's all sorts of back and forth about that. The question is, does he mean it as, you know, like basically means like God help me? He says God love you a lot, and he goes God help us, and then he says, you know, pray God this happens. Like those are that's normal language for him.
I could retain not only my job, but my pension benefits and health care
See if I
coverage
can
for our
get.
family.
I'll move forward to
Bowling Green,
statement.
Kentucky is 8 hours away.
Yeah, they're in Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The mayor of Youngstown is here, and I tell you what, Mr. Mayor, thanks for making the effort to be here. And Commissioner Kathleen Clyde is here, and Reverend Michael Harrison, he's also here. Thank you for joining us today. Your collective leadership, and by the way, the stadies that are here, I say salute. Thank you, guys. And by the way, I was telling, the reason I stopped a moment ago, I've ridden a few miles on Amtrak. When I first got started, Amtrak didn't have a police department. And one of the things I'm proudest of was fighting hard to make sure they have Amtrak police. And you do a heck of a job, guys. You do a great job. You know, it's good to be back in Ohio, and as I getting here and riding.
I think he ends up taking his mask off because he's separated from everybody.
Ohio and my favorite means of transportation. You know, I know the fact is that we have the founding of this town as a spot where two railroads intersected. That's how it got started. And can I take my mask off? I guess I can. All right. And I just want you to know that I appreciate the opportunity to be here and appreciate the opportunity to move on. Alliance started as a place where people came together. And it's what we so badly need to do now in this country, is begin again to come together. We rode today with some remarkable Ohioans and whose families are here. Tiffany Davis and her husband Tom and her kids, and Jacqueline Komar and her husband William and their daughter and grandson, and Dave Vorshak.
Yeah, Emo Vulcan, I say that I took Arabic. Inshallah means God willing. He was saying it sarcastically to Trump, as in Trump was hoping for something to work and it wouldn't. Yeah.
His wife Kathy and their children.
I saw some people speak of it that way online.
And it was an honor to get a chance to meet them and to spend a little time talking about their circumstances. How Tom, who worked online at Lordstown, is now making that 8-hour drive to Kentucky so he can keep a job and make a living. And, you know, and Jacqueline, who taught high school math at Maple Heights for years and now worries what's going to happen to William if they lose the protections that are available through Obamacare for pre-existing conditions. And Dave, who's fighting like hell for his coworkers after management announced the Akron plant was going to close this year. Like millions of hardworking Americans, they're not looking for a handout. They're just looking for a fair shot to be seen, to be understood, to be heard. And they remind me of my dad. I was from another valley, a little further east, the Lackawanna Valley, Scranton, Pennsylvania. My dad had a job in Scranton, and when coal died and everything started to close up, we ended up in a circumstance where my dad did what you're doing, old buddy, only he didn't have to do it for 8 hours. He made that what I call the longest walk a parent ever has to make, up a short flight of stairs to say, honey, I'm not going to be home during the week. I'm going to have to move down, in this case, to Delaware. That was only about a 3.5-hour ride at that time, not an 8-hour ride. And he did that for well over a year, and finally was able to get us we had to move. There was no work. And my dad, it just reminds me of what he used to always say, and I apologize to the press hearing me say this many times, but it's a fact and it's relevant. My dad used to say,
I love that he knows he's given a stump speech, but he apologizes to the press for seeing it too much.
in Wilmington, Delaware.
I'm saying it too much, yeah.
We finally were able to purchase a home, move out of an apartment, and get going again. My dad would say, Joe, remember, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. It's about being able to hold your head up, being able to look at your kid and say, honey, it's going to be okay. Well, you know, the fact is, I don't expect the government to solve my problem, he'd say, but I do expect them to at least understand the problem. That's what in last night's debate was about, this whole election is about. Does your president have any idea, understand what you're going through? And if he does he care about it? Has he able, as my mom would say, be able to walk a mile in your shoes if you want to know me? Are they able to do that? Or does he just ignore you, look down on you, lie to you, like this president did when he told Ohio workers that don't sell your house because no more factories are going to close. What I saw last night was all about him. He didn't speak to you or your concerns or the American people even once. Donald Trump broke his promise. He said he was running to help the forgotten American. As soon as he got elected, he forgot them. I'll never forget. You know, I understand what you do. Wall Street did not build this country. CEOs did not build this country. Hard-working, average American people given half a chance built this country. The middle class built the country. And unions built the middle class. I tell you what, I never forget that where I came from. A measure of our success as a nation is not how well the stock market is doing. It's what families are able to talk about and what they deal with at their kitchen table. Many of the people who will hear this today woke up this morning at a kitchen table where there was an empty chair or one less chair because they lost someone. 205,000 dead because of COVID. Over 7 million infected. It's just, and what happened last night? Did you hear a word from the president about any of that? Look, tables like the one that we saw last night are ones that were set by Trump. You know, for 36 years, as I said, I took a 250-mile round trip on Amtrak every day to commute from Wilmington to Washington. I got to know the engineers, the conductors, the folks in the food service car. And at night, as I'd ride home and going between Washington and Baltimore, I see those lights on in those homes along the tracks, middle-class homes, 3-bedroom, split-level types that I grew up in. And I often wonder, what are they talking about? What are they dealing with? What's going on in their heads? Was it like what's going on at my house? No, honey, you got to ride on those tires for another 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 miles. We can't afford new ones right now. Or, you know, who's going to tell her? Who's going to tell him they can't go back to that school because we just don't have the money? Or what are we going to do? I can remember my father, we lived in a 3-bedroom house with 4 kids and a grandpa. And I can remember, you know, the walls were thin. I remember my dad rolling around at night. I could hear him. Our room was next to him. I remember asking my mom one day, what's the matter with Dad? He said, we just lost our insurance. We have no health insurance. And so, look, these are the things that people are worried about. My guess is that the same thing is happening everywhere in America. And the question people are asking is it going to be okay? Folks, this election, in my view, is between Scranton and Park Avenue, between Alliance and Park Avenue. And it's about whether or not the parents are going to look their kids in the eye and going to be able to say, it's going to be okay. That's what we talked about on the way down here in the train. We talked about it all along this Whistle Stop tour because I'm coming into places where people are hurting, where people have lost their jobs.
I have to say, I think it's kind of amazing. This is not something I expected, and I don't think a lot of people expected, that in 2020, one of the presidential candidates would be doing a whistle stop train tour as part of their campaigning. Seriously. Like, this is something out of the 1920s, much less the 2020s.
But there used to be real opportunity. And this is all about, in my view, how we're going to support working families, to give people an equal shot, just so they can be able to have a chance to be able to just make a decent living. And folks, you know,
thank you, Christina.
To protect your pensions, your health care, to make the wealthy and corporations pay their fair share. To me, that's what this is all about. It's a trade-off. Do we allow corporate America to continue to pay, 91 of them pay no tax at all, while you're having your health care taken away in the name of we can't afford it? Do we allow billionaires to get another $30 billion tax break so they pay at a lower rate than you pay if you have a job as a school teacher? Do we allow that? Do we invest in our schools? What should we be doing right now? And what should we be doing for the last 5 months? The president, instead of being in the sand trap in his golf course, should be in the White House and the Oval Office inviting Democrats and Republicans to be there with him and to settle how we're going to make sure we can bail out these small businesses that are going under. Make sure people can keep their insurance. Making sure we have the ability to open our stores and our schools safely. It costs money to do that. But what's he doing? He's doing nothing. By the way, I find it fascinating. They have time at the very end of this election to hold a hearing on a Supreme Court justice, but the Senate does not have time to deal with making sure schools and businesses have the PPE they need, the protective gear, does not have the sanitary conditions available to them and the money to pay for them to open up, does not have the capacity, and so on. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? Have time to rush through a nominee after an election has already started, but no time to deal with the everyday concerns about the American people. Look.
Wally World says Trump paid $70K for his hair in 1 year. How's that possible? Okay, first of all, the idea is that if you were on a television show and you had a professional hair person on call for all things, like whenever you went on camera, and that's all day, they are your singular hair person, and they did any events you went to and made you up and all that kind of stuff. That person is basically on salary and a specialist. So they're not making $35,000 a year, they're making $70,000 a year because you're their only client. Right? That's that's where $70,000 could come in. However, that's how much the production paid for that person because they were a staff member on that show responsible for both filming days and any press gaggles they did. So they got paid to be, on call in general for that. He didn't have another one on top of that. That's just bullshit.
Let me conclude by saying, notwithstanding where we are right now, I am extremely optimistic. I'm optimistic that because the American people know this is not who we are. They're ready to get up again. They're ready to...
So, sorry to hear that. Cool Mom at home 420 says, my husband will die if he loses his Obamacare. Our daughter has one pill that costs $750 a month, and she had 4 others that, one that aren't cheap either. She had epilepsy, so I have no choice but to get her pills every month. Wow.
Come back. We just have to give them a shot.
No, Michael Kent, that's what I do.
And so we're better positioned than any nation in the world to take back this 21st century. We're ready to do it, but we can only do it if we do it together. And if I get elected president, I'm not going to be the Democrat president. I'm going to be an American president. I'm going to represent you whether you vote for me or you vote against me. This is about the United States of America, our place in the world, and the security and well-being of people, just given an equal chance to have a shot at the American dream that's being denied them right now.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you very much for listening. I'm happy to take questions. I don't even know where to start. I guess I'll start and work my way a little bit. Yes.
Scott Detrow with NPR. What did you learn last night about going face-to-face with President Trump in the debate? Would you do anything different next time? And also, there's a lot of talk about, given the way things went last night, 2 more debates aren't worth having. What do you think about that?
It's not a inconsequential assertion.
I think the interpreter's like, I didn't hear the question.
Look, he did what I expected him to do last night. He announced what he was going to do. He announced he was going to, I think the phrase was, now he can become really vicious. I think that was his phrase at some point. Look, last night reinforced for me why I got in this race in the first place. Last night, I said when I got in the race, we're in a battle for the soul of this country. Can you all see me? Should I turn this way a little bit? Trump's constant disregard and unwillingness to speak to COVID and the fact that 205 million people, 1,000 people have already.
Whoops. He froze, but they got, oh, yeah, we'll be back later. So they had a dip in the quality of the feed, and then it came back. Did it jump back? Oh, there you go.
The American people and those undecided voters.
Oh, it was the camera that they had the issue.
Try to determine.
This one's better anyways.
What each of us has as an answer for their concerns and allows us to actually speak. Yes, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You mentioned the president's comments about the Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. Today, they've made that really a rallying cry. They're rallying around that slogan almost that they've created now for it. What are your fears about the implications of the president's rhetoric? And do you have a message for the Proud Boys today?
Cease and desist. Cease and desist. The American people will decide who the next president of the United States will be, period. So I'm urging the American people, go out and vote. Show up. If you can vote early, vote early. Vote whatever way is most convenient for you, but vote. And if you show up in large enough numbers, nothing is going to change. I promise you. If, in fact, we win this election, this president will step down. It's a lot of bravado. He has no alternative. Mm-hmm. The American people would not stand for it. No agency would stand for that happening. My message to the Proud Boys and every other white supremacist group is cease and desist. That's not who we are. This is not who we are as Americans.
Mr. Vice President.
All right, I'm going to let you pick somebody because you got everybody out here.
Okay. Mr. Vice President, thank you for giving me a question.
Hello. I think it's for yes.
Oh, great. Okay. I wanted to, just about last night, you said a few things that put some distance between yourself and the liberal wing of the party on the Green New Deal, Medicare for All. Can you talk a little bit about whether or not you could be going a little bit too far to the center and alienating some people on the left? And related to that, have you spoken with Alexandra AOC today or recently?
No, why?
I haven't, and I appreciated her endorsement. I look, we had a debate with, 22, 25 people in the Democratic Party. I said at the time that I would tell you exactly what I believed, and I would state why I believed it and why I was running. And that's exactly what I did. I did not support Medicare for All. I do not support it now. I support the Biden plan that I've laid out. I've laid out the most extensive plan with a detail on how I will get us to net zero emissions in the energy sector by 2035, putting thousands of people to work. I've laid out how, in fact, I'm going to get us to net zero emissions in the United States of America by 2050 across the board, how I'd rejoin the Paris Accord, which I helped put together, et cetera. So the Green New Deal that the president keeps trying to talk about, it's not a bad deal, but it's not the plan I have. That's the Biden Green Deal. That's what it's about. And what the president keeps trying to do is he's trying to run against somebody other than me. I've said to the left, the right, and the center exactly where I am on each of these issues. I did have time, and I've worked very hard with all segments of the party. We put together a platform that is a platform that I fully support. President keeps talking about, what's he call it? This, he has some name for our platform. I can't remember what it is. It's the manifesto. Thank you. The manifesto. Well, the Democratic platform is the one that I've signed on to. The one that the vast majority, overwhelming majority of Democrats signed on to. Mm-hmm. The Democratic Party is a big tent. And we have all kinds of folks in that have different views, and they're all welcome. And we negotiated, we debated, and we had a primary election. And I won, and I've laid out what we're going to do. So I'm not worried about losing the left, right, or the center of the party. This is a big party. But I have one of the most progressive records of any Democrats run on. I'm proud of it, but it's my record, and it's what I want to do. So thank you.
And if I could just follow up with an unrelated question.
They got a drink to catch. There you go. That was an interesting choice as far as, let's see, are they going to this nonsense yet? 13 minutes. Do I dare? Do I stick around? No. I mean, do we need to do it? We can do it tomorrow. I think I'll sign off because it's almost 6 o'clock and I've gone an extra 45 minutes anyways. You guys are awesome. Thanks for joining me today. I like going through, what Biden does, but I don't find a need to interrupt it or any of that stuff. It's worth seeing and worth watching the exchange. But in terms of the debate going forward, I might just do what I do with the debate next time. Instead of having kind of a watch party like I did with John, I might just go through it like I go through it live, like this other stuff, and I'll stop and start as we go along, and yeah, it'll happen a little slower, but it's just what I do. It's how we usually roll. And I'll pause and go back a couple of things, and we'll grab stuff and clarify and fact check live. I feel like it's better to do it that way, just because I feel like it benefits. Excuse me, I'm gonna. There you go. I think it would be a worthwhile version of it. You know what I mean? So if you guys are up for that, that's what I'll do on the next one, and I'll do it on the VP debate as well. So I'm curious to how that one will work out. But everybody, go to vote.org or iwillvote.com and make sure that you are registered to vote. And I want to hear from you guys as you vote. Some of you have already voted. In-person voting starts for me on Monday. And so I'm going to be voting either Monday or Tuesday. So I'll let you guys know when and how that happened. And we will, I'll show you my I voted sticker and all that kind of stuff and what my process was. And I would love to hear from you guys as you did it, Okay, Cosmic Rose, thanks. Happy birthday, Jess. Got my ballot, filling it out tonight, taking it to the Dropbox tomorrow. That's awesome. And thanks, guys. As long as most places, if you get your vote in on election day and your mail-in vote, they open and process it the same day in the same way they would on any kind of election night. They can start in the morning. There are vote processors who are not the polling place workers. They're the ones who deal with the mail-in votes that go through the piles of mail-in votes that they have starting at 8 a.m. on election day, and they start taking them out, running them through the machine, counting the vote, storing them. They stack them together so they can be recounted if there's any question later. And they throw out the envelopes. If there's any votes that are wonky or might get thrown out or there's questionable, they go into a separate stack or file, and those folks get a phone call from the Board of Electors and say, hey, you need to cure your ballot, any of that stuff. I'm curious how many of those we will see, just because there are a lot of first-time mail-in voters. Some states you need someone to sign your ballot along with you, which I don't understand. If you live alone, where's that person supposed to come in? Like having a notary or a friend do it. It's very strange. But in a lot of ways, it guarantees that both of you are lying if one of you is lying. So if somebody messes around with a ballot, you got two people on the hook for it. That's harder to do. It's hard to find. It might be easy to find one asshole who's ready to do 5 years to get their person elected because they're a QAnon nutcase. It's really hard to find two that are willing to go in on it together. So, yeah, California can start 10 days ahead. They, technically speaking, it's the 5th of October. If you get your mail in, you can go. There are sites available 10 days ahead. There's early voting at these specific places before that. So, anyways, I'll keep you posted. We have a private envelope in PA. Use the mailman. Yeah, and you must use your privacy envelope so you don't have a naked ballot. Ask the mailman to witness it. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Check Project Veritas video of ballot harvesting in Minnesota. Yeah, I saw that. I like just the mention of it. It's them going after Ilhan Omar again. Supposedly ballot harvesting, like elderly Somalis. Which I'm gonna guess they go pick them up, and I'm gonna guess in mass, just going out on a limb, that the elderly Somali immigrants are gonna be voting for Ilhan Omar. They're not gonna. There won't be a lot of variety in that vote. I'm gonna go, just a guess. Yeah, Colorado does not require a witness or a notary. I mean, it's different for every state. That's why I think there should be a national standard. That's my own thing. But we'll get to that later. But you guys are fantastic. I appreciate you. I will see you. Let me see if I can bring this up. I will see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It's Thursday tomorrow. So remember, the show starts at 4 p.m. If I can start a few minutes early, I might. And I might dig into this rally tonight if there's any, there'll be some craziness, I have no doubt. But thanks, Sarpus. So hey, thank you, Rob. Absolutely. And so tomorrow, yeah, because I have family FaceTime, we got to do that stuff. And I will see you guys at 4 o'clock tomorrow for sure, and on through the weekend. Here we go. 34 days to the election. Criminy, man. This is gonna be nutty. We're gonna make it though. Flappers show is this Sunday. This Sunday at Flappers, I can have 10 guests. So if you're in the LA area and you're a Patreon or you're just available to come to the show, let me know. Otherwise, tickets are available on Flappers' website. So yeah, appreciate you guys. I'm glad we got to go through the kind of whole gamut today, and deal with the golf thing. There's so many little things that skip because he did so much crazy BS. We'll deal with that as we go. Anyways, you guys are wonderful. I'll see you tomorrow.
Federal. They don't like the gas. Hydrosonic. I go super duper. Federal. That'll be a beauty. Rarely does anything happen. Voila. 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 First new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces in 75 years, Space Force. Not since the answer. Not since the answer. Feel it do 'em. Feel it do 'em. When they gaze upon Yosemites, Michigan gave us Motown, gave us the Mustang. Isn't it wonderful to allow protesting?
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.
Soup for my family. They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town.
Something strange happened to me this morning. Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? No. Why am I the only person that has that dream?
See this? This is my boomstick!
Let me put it this way, Mr. Raymer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
am I have 9,000 computers.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Votang! Votang! Votang!
Guy talk!
I'm dead sexy.
Groovy.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss.
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
I know he can get the job, but can he do the job?
The objective? No, son, thank you very much. Still, it gives me the wind, something terrible.
Oh.
Sorry. I farted.
Bring out the dead!
Groovy.
It's good to be the king.
Hail to the king, baby.